Okay, well, fantastic, Scott. Thank you very much for joining me. Really appreciate it. I've been looking very forward to this meeting. I'm sorry that we weren't able to get together last week, but as you know, I was a bit under the...
I've been fortunate enough to do over 3,000 live events, uh, whether that be in a ballroom or in a stadium of 27,000 people. Have
Wow.
been fortunate to share the stage with virtually every name you know. You may or may not know my name. That wasn't my task. My task was to present the offering to the audience that I was there for and actually earn the money so we could pay the guys whose name you knew. so, uh, but what it allowed me to do is really create amazing relationships with some of the best of the best. And as I went through my personal development journey and everything, I've written checks to 19 mentors over my career. So my statement to each one of them was the exact same all the time. Give me everything you got. My commitment is I won't keep it. I'll share it with my mentees, my clients, my students. And so it's been a great ride. It's been a lot of fun. Today, I'm using those presentation skills to actually bring to the industry a video conferencing platform that really accomplishes the task of what the industry needs: generating leads, converting sales, creating revenue, growing their reps, and most importantly, creating retention of those reps. So, having a lot of fun helping people grow their businesses.
Well, look, I've had a look at your platform, and obviously we're super excited about it. Can you
share a story that was the table in the back of the right? If you're ready to get started, head on back to the table. So you made your
Yes.
call to action on site, and the conversions happened. A solution, but the call to action had turned would disappear up in chat world. And what that meant is conversion rates dropped significantly. Very best presentation to earn people's trust, to present a phenomenal solution and not getting the result that they're looking for, which is that conversion. The beauty of what we have is there is actually the ability to create a call to action button right on the video itself, right on the screen. And so literally either people can touch it with their finger or click their mouse, and there is a buy button or a directional button that takes people right to the point of sale. And so now everything that you've done to create that sales enthusiasm can now be turned into revenue. And so that's one of the biggest things that's different about what we're doing is people can actually convert the sale on the spot. Obviously, that could be registration for convention. It could be becoming a new team member. It could be simply buying the product. Any and all of those are really positive results. And we had one of our members actually said, "Hey, I've only been doing this for 3 weeks. My conversions are up 27% already." Now think about
you
that.
see?
I mean, that's
Yeah, it's
huge.
crazy.
That's huge, right? So the point is that again, the external pressures on the industry are tough enough. Let's help people get victories as easily and as quickly as possible.
Now, one of the things that you mentioned when I had a look at your platform is that if I, as a networker, send out my link, when the person clicks on the button, because they've registered through me, it's going to track that person is in my team. Is that in play yet? Is that in the process of being put into play? Where are we with that concept?
We're actually within this week of that. It's set to be released this week. We call it a multi-promotion capability. And so now you can have a leader do the meeting and obviously has all the expertise in the world. They actually make the presentation. And when they make that call to action and somebody hits the buy button, the software automatically sends that sale back to the person who invited the buyer to that meeting. So now think of the ramifications of that. Now you've got a leader who's got all the expertise in the world to give a dynamic presentation, and you've got a newbie who's tremendously excited about what they've gotten into, just wants some results. They invite people to the meeting. The leader gives the presentation. The leader makes the call to action, and the sale gets tracked back immediately to the newbie's website. Doesn't get much
So
better
the
than that.
button pops up. When you hit the button, boom, that is the newbie sale. The person's registered in their team. The sale accrues to them. The commission accrues to them, and off they go.
Exactly. And so again, this is where we talk about really, first of all, you want to take those leads and you want to convert them, right? Either into
Sure.
a product buyer or enroll as a teammate, one of those two things. Either one of those things typically creates revenue. The revenue creates growth in that rep, and now the rep will stay, and the retention increases because they're successful. Who quits something that's working? Nobody.
And you mentioned this and you brought it into context. When I started in the industry 35 years ago, we would go to a meeting, and down at the front of the room was this guy who was very experienced at pitching the business. And they would pitch the business, and they would get some people to do some sort of what's it called when a person stands up and gives their testimony about how the business has been for them. And then at the end of it, exactly what you're saying, the person would say, okay, turn to the person who invited you here and they're going to help you get going. And in those days, it was pre-computers. You would get out your form and you would actually physically sign the person up on the form. And what you're saying is that you've actually digitized and automated that entire process. I still invite my person to the presentation. The presentation still takes on the same dynamics as it always did. It's in real life because the person standing at the front of the audience is online. We both watch the presentation together. At the end of the presentation, the presenter pops up a button, and the person I've invited literally just clicks on the button and gets started.
That's
So you've
exactly
taken
it.
what was a real world scenario, and you've actually digitized it, you've automated it, and you've made it really simple. That's how I understand what you guys have done. Would I be
You've
about
got
correct?
it. What do you need me for? You can talk about this, Richard. That's exactly the
Well,
way it is.
well,
Go on.
obviously, I went through a demonstration
Sure.
with you, Scott, and we were pretty blown away with what you guys are doing, and we certainly are going to get our clients to implement this solution. It's something that we are totally fired up about, and it is something. So the reason I wanted to chat with you about this is that I think that it is the multi-level marketing industry has changed.
Absolutely.
Pre-COVID, we were still doing these in-person meetings, and I'm not saying that those have gone away completely. I mean, you cannot. I don't think you can do away with the belly-to-belly thing. Nothing really tops being in somebody's presence. There's no question about that. But our landscape has changed. I
Yes.
mean, you would know that better than me because you guys are in that space. But the landscape is no longer the same. We're no longer going to big meetings. We're no longer doing any of those kind of things. Everything seems to have migrated online. And I think that's where you guys are really coming into your own.
Yeah, the reality is that there are live meetings coming back because people want that face-to-face community and everything that direct sales is so great at doing, is being part of a team, being part of a family, and all that. So that is coming back. But I'll give you a real world example. We were talking with a party planning company the other day. And if you think about the party planning model of the past, it was call somebody within 5 miles of your house, then 10 miles of your house, then 20 miles of your house, and you pretty well built your team, right? I mean, because they had to travel to your house to get the presentation. Well, now the beauty of what's available for that group in this industry is your home can be wherever the computer is. And so now you can actually do party planning, and you can actually now seed your team around the country, quite frankly, around the world, depending upon your product. And so the ability to expand your reach and stretch your market potential is huge. the millions upon millions of people that are involved in direct sales is wonderful. But in a party planning company in the past, you only had a very finite portion of that available to you. Well, now you've
Yeah, it
got
was
it
just
all
your
available.
local area.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
you've got it all available to you, quite frankly. So the point is that again, live meetings are coming back, but from all the experts I talk to, and I've done over 3,000 live events, again, as many as 27,000 in an arena. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. I would love for those to come back. I just don't know that it will. It's hard to motivate people to now get into a seat when they've had 2 or 3 years of being able to, well, can you send me a link? Can I
Yeah.
sit in a golf shirt and shorts and watch this, or I actually physically have to get up and go somewhere, right? So this has become a
Yeah.
great advantage, which is why our platform, we want to work with direct sales folks, whether it be corporations or the rank and file themselves, to help them accomplish what they're really looking to do, and that is to to experience whatever reason they joined the company in the first place, whether that was for extra income, whether that was for the sake of community, whether it was part of belonging, or whether it was for the attributes of the products themselves. All we want to do is support everybody's desire to do ultimately what they want to do.
Now, the thing is, I can just hear the clarion call happening there, but we're already doing that with Zoom or with EverWebinar or with any of these other platforms. What is your answer to those people?
Well, everything in our platform is browser based. That means you never leave the platform at all. So if you want to share a video, we have one touch video. You touch a button and the video plays. You don't have to go out to another tab or another window or another software, which gets clunky in many of the situations. Similarly, one touch audio. Your PowerPoints, your presentations are all held inside. So you can simply touch one button. It advances the slide. You can actually hide it for a second and take questions from the audience. You can put it back up. There's so many more attributes. And I'll give you one that actually happened last weekend. There was an organization that had 453 people on their video meeting, and all of a sudden they lost total control of the platform, and there was full frontal male nudity that
Ooh,
took over.
oh my heck.
Which,
And which is this through Zoom? Or
well, it did happen to be through them, yes. And so the point is that they got bombed, and they immediately called and said, can we avoid this? And we said yes, and we shared how and all those kinds of things. But again, it's one of those things where Zoom is a wonderful property. Hear my heart here. But it was designed for me to look at you, you to look at me, and us to talk to each other. That's what it
yes,
was designed to do. And it does a wonderful job of that. But
I'm
when
with
you
you.
start sharing documents, when you start sharing videos, it becomes a little clunky, especially for the technically challenged. Whereas everything in our system is inside the browser. So, again, comment from a 77-year-old, long-time direct saleswoman said, this is the first time I've ever come to a meeting, clicked a link, and gotten in right away. Oh my God, do you have any idea how this is going to boost my recruiting and sales? And we said, well,
And
we've
the
got a
key,
good idea.
yeah, and the key thing from my perspective is that you guys have designed this specifically for the MLM industry, for the direct selling industry, for the party plan guys. It's been designed specifically for that. So it
Yeah,
is
it's
actually
designed
optimized
specifically
for
for,
that.
right, especially for conversion. So again, let's go through. There's actually probably 12 ways to close more sales with this. The call to actions are amazing because you have a buy button right then and there. There's something called a button bar that now I can put 1 to 5 buttons up there. So it could be an enrollment button, a product purchase button, a convention ticket button. It could be any and all of those things. One touch video, one touch audio. So wouldn't it be fun to come into your meeting playing We Are the Champions in the background, and all of a sudden then you come on and do it? So one touch audio, one touch PowerPoints. One of the things that corporate loves is we have the ability to create shareable bundles of compliant information. So let's say that you had testimonial videos that were scrubbed and compliant with corporate, a PowerPoint that was compliant, um, support materials, testimonial videos. All that can be built in one account, and at the touch of a button, sent into every team member's account. So now all that compliant information is available. So again, compliance goes up. My goodness, branding between virtual backgrounds and wallpapers, you can actually put company names on. Just so many more things. Web page popper, we can actually pop up the web page that is live and actionable. So if you were saying, hey, come to convention, we're going to share the newest, latest, greatest. I mean, you can actually put the registration page right there on the screen. And while you're
Click on it,
talking,
register.
click on it and register on the spot. So again,
I love it.
It's all about conversion.
I love it. And I mean, this is what we got really excited about, is the concept that you are in real time able to interact with the people, bring up the buttons, let them click on it. They remain in the same browser. They remain in the same environment, and they're actually in real time busy getting into your team, buying your products, etc. That actually really is for me what was quite exciting about this whole concept. And then your pricing model,
people's business, right? How do we help them? And it's even past that. How do we help them grow their experience? Because that's what it all becomes about. They got into the business for a reason. How do we help them satisfy that reason?
100%. And then your pricing model, because obviously we're talking to CEOs of companies. So our podcast is aimed at the C-suite. And so our messaging right now is to the CEOs of companies. And we're saying to them, hey, listen, if you implement this system throughout your network, obviously your conversions are going to go up, activities going up. It's doing all of it's hitting all of the milestones or the yardsticks that you are actually planning to hit as a company. But now the next thing is there a corporate pricing structure? How does the pricing structure or the pricing work for you guys?
Well, each situation is slightly different depending upon how companies want to do it. But what we do have is a very solid umbrella retail price in the marketplace. So people understand what it would be if they were to purchase it retail. Well, the good news is that a company has the ability to downstream that to their rank and file for anywhere from probably 60 to 75% off of retail. So corporate actually gets to look like a hero, right? Or, well, actually be the hero. It's not looking like, they actually are. We only make those opportunities available through companies so that they can actually do that. Sometimes we'll talk to the companies, and the companies will say, hey, we've got a huge leader. We give you permission, or we're okay if you run it through the leader for the company. But again, it's all with the communication to make sure that the right pricing gets to the field and the right things happen along the way.
100%. And then look, right now, I think what we need to do is get your details up. How do they contact you? What is the URLs? Let's just get all of that stuff out here quickly.
Well, you can go to meetin.live. That's MEETN.live to gain more information on it. I don't make it hard for me to find. My email is scott@scottschilling.com. Please feel free to email me, or Scott@Meetin Live. So either way, we want to communicate with people and really understand, because Richard, it comes down to, as a longtime sales guy, people make selling way too hard. It's only 4 words: identify, problem, provide, solution. So the only thing we ever want to do is talk with people, understand what their challenges might be, and then prescribe a good solution going forward.
Look, I mean, that makes complete sense. And so my recommendation would be that people who are out there who are looking to build their company and to use these kind of tools should obviously reach out to you and get in touch with you. And we will be putting this in the links below the video, so people will be able to see it both on our Spotify accounts and our YouTube account. Wonderful. And our Facebook accounts. They'll all be able to see these links to get it. But Scott, this is not the only thing you're involved in. I mean, you've helped companies in all sorts of ways. What other sort of services do you offer outside of this amazing platform that you guys have got?
Well, again, part of the things that we do are other tools and other things that could serve the greater good. Again, it's about communicating a message. How do you make it easier for your rank and file to do it? That's one thing. And then myself personally, you see, actually, I was just saying that picture up there, the lady in red, that's Richard Branson's mother. That's Eve Branson in that picture at an event that I did a number of years ago. But we actually train and we help people with their messaging and their presentations and a variety of different things. It's really about, I was very blessed. I am in Dallas, Texas, and so had a wonderful opportunity to know Zig Ziglar, be on the road with him a little bit, and still know the family very well. But I read his book, See You at the Top, many, many, many years ago. And there was a quote in that book that forever changed my path. You can have everything in life you want when you help enough other people get what they want. And so that's really the place that we work from, is if you've got challenges with your business, reach out. Here's the other thing that happened. When you do 3,000 events with virtually every name you got a lot of connections. And so sometimes there are things that we can't or we don't have the solution for. But I know the people who have the solution for you. And I'd be more than pleased to make the introduction, because again, it's all about helping you grow your business and what you're doing.
And let's be honest, if you're starting an MLM business, you don't know what you don't know. And if you can get the right people in your corner helping you to make the right decisions, then this is a very, very hard business to mess up.
You got a great system in place.
Yeah. And so almost all of the problems I've ever seen in the MLM space is because people are not connecting with the right advice. They're not taking the right advice on. So I've seen people get themselves into big trouble with with the law, through compliance, because they don't understand what the difference is between a pyramid, for example, and an MLM business or a direct selling business. And they're not reaching out to the right people and connecting with the right people to ensure that they're doing things correctly. And so that, I think, is what you're saying, if I may paraphrase, is that, if somebody's looking to get into the space and they need the help, you're either going to be able to help them, or you will be able to point them at the people that will be able to change the way they do their business and help them to do their business correctly and successfully.
Yeah, it's interesting. Somebody one time I said, my tagline is accelerating results through people, products, and projects. And somebody said, so what does that mean? And I said, well, if there are some people you need to know, I'll connect you with them. If there's some products you need to know about, I'll tell you about them. And if there's some projects that can make a huge difference, we should all be involved. And so the point is, somebody said to me one day, so are you saying you know everybody? And I said, no, hardly. But I know a lot of people that know a lot of people. And so it's not too, once you get to, once you've become a little more mature, that's code word for older, you've experienced enough things along your career And what I've found is if I can serve people through introducing them to a friend of mine, it makes me just as happy as if I can solve the problem myself.
And look, from my perspective, that's what MLM for CEOs is all about, is that we want to say to the C-suite out there who's wanting to get into the MLM space or is in the MLM space, hey, listen, there are people out there who are very difficult to track down in everyday circumstances. How do you get to these people? If you go and Google for them, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know whether they're reliable. They could be just all wind. You don't know. Whereas if they can come to somebody like you who's been in the industry a long time and who can give a personal recommendation, either to say, hey, listen, we can do this for you, we can help you with this, or you need to speak to these guys, they're awesome in the business. And getting that personal recommendation is like gold, because
Oh,
then you at
absolutely.
least,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, there's nothing better than I love when I do cross introductions, because I give people a little bit of detail on each party, and then it's okay. Now it's up to you to connect to each other. I can't wait to see the smoke rise. You just know good things are going to happen when good people get connected, and so that's a big part
exactly.
of it. Is what can we do to help you move your initiative forward, whatever that might mean.
Exactly. And of course, from our point of view, we're interviewing people all over the world, and what we're doing is creating new connections for everybody in our space. So that is why I think that this MLM for CEOs channel is so powerful, is because people like yourself and Raul in India and Mark in Europe and these kind of guys who we're now connecting people with, these are powerhouses in the industry like yourself, guys with huge experience. And CEOs out there now have a way to get to somebody like you real quick and to solve their problems fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, if everybody just kind of takes uh, that mindset that together we all accomplish more, right? We can lift a rising tide floats all boats.
Yeah.
If you truly want to make things better, uh, I think everybody should be involved in a company. I think everybody should find the thing that makes their heart go pitter pat, and whether that be from a product that helps them physically to the rewards that help them financially, whatever that case might be. I think everybody should have that opportunity. Quite frankly, entrepreneurialism is the foundation of the world economy, quite frankly. So let's do everything we can to support that and help people accomplish the very best they possibly can.
Now, if I was a new CEO and I'm getting going, what books would you recommend I read? Do you have any kind of the perfect books that you would recommend a new CEO reads?
Well, there's a number. I mean, my go-to book is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield, both the original version and the 10-year anniversary version. I, I said when I first read it that this is really the success Bible. There's 64 success principles, and they just flat work. They make sense and they work. Things like that. Um, there's Good to Great is a great book. There's a lot of really great books out there. Um, Quite frankly, well, Born to Win by Tom Ziegler, but you know, any of the Zig Ziglar stuff from the beginning, right? See at the top, stuff is timeless. People haven't changed. People try to shortcut things. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. If they don't know
Yes.
you, assume they don't like you. And if they don't like you, assume they don't trust you. But they've got to trust you to do business with you, which means you've got to front load the effort of getting people to know you and getting people to like you. And then you can earn some trust. And that's the one thing that many people in today's economies are forgetting. They're trying to be the one hit wonders and contact somebody one time and do people do business with those they trust. And if they don't know who you are, they don't trust you. And they're not going to trust you if you try to make them do business without that trust. And so there's a lot of really great lessons that have been around for a long, long time. The the thing is, people have forgotten. I mean, Think and Grow Rich is, 1929.
Dale Carnegie. Yeah.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. All those things are, you're seeing reworks on a lot of that information. Let's take it all the way back. There's a pretty good sales manual that's probably been around about 2,500 years. That
Yeah.
gives a
Yeah.
lot of principles there, right? So
Og
again, this,
Mandino wrote a little book around that, the
yeah,
greatest salesman in the history of the world. That was an amazing. If you read that book
exactly.
and you go through it the way it's supposed to be gone through, it's quite incredible.
Yeah, I
I
mean
must say
there.
that one of the reasons I ask these questions is because I'm always looking for good book recommendations because I'm an avid reader. I devour these books.
Well, my let me put in a shameless plug. My last book is called That Sucks, What Now? Real World Solutions for Getting Through What You're Going Through. And basically it's all designed on how do you stay resilient? How do you bounce back? I had a near death experience. I'm an overachiever. I lived. So the bottom line is what did I learn from that, right? So you know the point is that there's so many great references. I think the bottom line becomes, and I shared before we started, I've written checks to 19 mentors across my career. If I wanted to learn a particular topic, I went to the best of the best and wrote them a check. Interesting story, and it's in That Sucks What Now. But my speaking mentor, uh, and again, I've done 3,000 live events. So think about the, I write John Childers a check, and then he teaches me what I need to do to be a professional speaker. And a number of years into it, he calls me and he said, "Hey, I'm coming to Dallas. Can I buy you dinner?" And I said, "Hey, you haven't bought me anything." So heck yeah, absolutely. So we go to dinner, and he said, "I got to ask you a question." And I said, "Okay." He said, "Out of the thousands of speakers that I've trained, you're the only one that has done 100% of what I taught. I got to ask you, why? Why'd you do it?" And I said, I'll gladly answer that, but let me ask you two questions first. He goes, "Okay." I said, "How many dollars worth of checks did I write you?" And he gave me a number, and I said, "Yeah, that sounds about right." And I said, "How many of them did you cash?" He said, "Every one of them." I said, "Now you have your answer. Why would I come to you to learn how to do this industry and then not do what you told me to do?" He said, "Believe it or not, you're the only one who ever has." And that's
That
the
actually
truth.
blows my mind. Yeah.
Well, it blew my mind as well. It's just not beyond it, it's not in my thought process. Why would I pay a mentor or work with somebody to learn some area of expertise and then either shortcut what they have taught me or try to put my spin on it? Let me tell you, if they're the ones who have made millions of dollars and have been doing this for years and years and years and been phenomenally successful, they call that a clue. Use it,
Yeah.
right?
Isn't it true, though, that many, and specifically in the C suite, the guys are used to being successful, they're used to making their own decisions, and so often they are absolutely sort of geared to not listen to anybody's advice. You tell them
Well,
what to do, and they do their own thing, and they learn through experience that that wasn't necessarily the best way to do it. But I
yeah,
find that so often.
you find founderitis in a number of places, right? Um, they're so in love with what they've created, and more than likely because they're super achievers, that they've created something wonderful. Very few have created 100% of wonderful. They might be 80, 85, 90% absolutely dead on, but it's that 10% that that could make the opportunity even better. And so
Yeah.
I think it's when you find somebody who's tremendously proud and honored to have created what they've created and still willing to listen to possibilities. And, there's so many great models out there. It's how can you combine and actually, because I talk to so many direct sales companies, I'm seeing more and more of people taking the best from one, the best from the second one, the best from the third one, and now they really have the best. Right? They're putting together programs that are much more amenable to people. That my style of representation or presentation is to eliminate objections, identify potential objections in advance, and eliminate them before they ever come up. And that's one thing that this industry, because again, one of my buddies used to say, "Poor old Uncle Tom is going to give you advice. My suggestion is don't take it." That's why they call him poor old Uncle Tom. Right.
Good question. Yeah, good
Right.
point.
Model what has been successful, and allows you to live full out.
Yeah.
That's my desire every day, is to be of service to someone so that they can have a greater life experience, whatever that means. Quite
And
seriously.
Peter Drucker said in one of his books that I read that the most expensive lesson is the one you learn through experience.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And his sort of rationale was there's a billion ways to do something wrong. And you're much better off finding somebody who knows how to do it right and letting him pay the experience bill and then just learning from them.
Yeah, experience is a wonderful teacher. It's just a very expensive teacher.
Exactly.
There are models out there. When my speaking mentor said, "This is what you do," and I'll give you this. I'll give you an example because I hear it all the time. From stage, you make one offer. One. Period. One. And there's so many people that want to say, "Well, I've got a $9.95, a $4.95, a $1.95, a $95, and you can get in free." Well, here's the reason you make one offer. A confused mind doesn't buy. A confused mind doesn't
Confused
take
people
action.
say no.
Period. Right?
Yeah.
And so
Agree.
those are the things. It's really funny. That's the one thing that as an example, because somebody said, we were having this conversation about mentors one day, and he said, "Well, my mentor said you could have multiple offers." And I said, "Interesting. How many dollars has your mentor sold from stage?" And he said, "Well, he really hasn't." I said, "Huh. My mentor sold probably 100 to 150 million from stage, which then allowed me to sell millions from stage. Why are you copying something from somebody that doesn't work?" I mean, there's
Exactly.
logic, there's process behind this. And so that's, again, when I slip on my coaching hat, one of the questions I love to ask people, "So what's your greatest challenge and what are you doing about it?" And my follow-up question is, "How's that working for you?"
Yeah. And very often it's not working very well.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so impressed with what you and Stuart are doing with MLM for CEOs and everything, because you're giving them tools to grow. You're doing things that work. I congratulate you. That's why I'm honored to be here today. Thank you so much for the opportunity, because
Oh.
you are supplying information at least for some critical thinking. And that's all you can really ask for.
Yeah, well, look, what we're trying to do is open people's mind to the fact that maybe you don't know it all. Maybe there are people out there who can help you. And if you were to take some of their advice, maybe you could be 10 times more effective than you're being. We're not trying to say to you you're not capable. We're not trying to say that you're not an A student in whatever you're doing. But we're saying, look, there are people who've walked this path before you. And if you take the chance to stand on the shoulders of giants, you are going to reach much higher than if you try and do it all on your own. And so it's one of the reasons we're talking to you is, of course, the concept of being able to stand on the shoulders of giants, people who've done it before, people who know what they're doing, and saying, hey, guys, here's somebody who's done it before. Connect with him. Let's open some doors for you.
One of my mentors one day, I learned a great lesson from the great John Deely, Dr. John Deely. And he goes, all I want you to do is improve 1% a day. That's it. Just little increments. Sure. And I went, John, you don't seem to understand. I'm kind of that overachiever guy. I kind of go after it. And he goes, I understand how 365% a year growth isn't enough for you. Oops. It was that.
I understand. Yeah.
Right.
It's like, boom.
Light
bulb goes on.
It was just I get
1% a day.
What a stupid thing for me to say, right? And so that's what I say is when you have the the mentors who have been there and done that, who have come down the path and done it, they've been successful for a reason. Now, every mentor who's been successful has made far more mistakes than he was in being successful. It's not about being off course. It's about being off course less often, less far, right? And that's what good guidance helps you with, right? Is
exactly.
You've got to know where your destination is. It's like a GPS. A GPS is a wonderful thing. It can recalculate and get you right to where you're going as soon as you tell it where you want to go. You got to have the vision. You got to have that opportunity that you want to put forward. And that's why, again, I love working with direct sales folks because they have a desire and they've got a vision of improving their situation, whether that be personally or corporately. And how can you not want to work with people like that?
Well, I'm absolutely passionate about this industry. What I've discovered over the years is that, and I'm going to use a bad word, so please excuse me, everybody, but there are very few assholes in direct selling, because in order to be successful in this business, you have got to be a good person.
Right.
The assholes, they disappear out of our business. They come and they go as quickly as they come and they're gone. And so when you start dealing with people in our industry who are successful, you find that you are mixing with the nicest people on the planet. They're wonderful, they're committed, they're honest, they've got integrity. And so it's one of the reasons I really, really love this industry. Now we're coming into land here, Scott, and I want to sort of close off with a Zig Ziglar quote, because we've been talking about Zig Ziglar, and he said that if you go looking for friends, they're nowhere to be found. If you set out to be a friend, you'll find them everywhere. And I really want to set out to be the best possible friend I can to you. And certainly I want to help you connect with everybody in my orbit. And I hope that many, many people connect with you. And I hope that moving forward one day, I'm going to be able to count you as a friend in my circle, and somebody that I can look up to, somebody who I can call a mentor, and somebody who I can work with going forward.
Well, we're already friends, Richard. So you can check that box. So that's awesome. And the last lunch I had with Zig, we did a hostage exchange. I signed one of my books to him, and he signed his last book to me. And he said, Scott, can I share something with you? And I said, absolutely, Zig. He said, if you're ever discouraged or don't have the encouragement you need, always remember at least at one point, even Moses was a basket case.
Good point.
And I said, Zig, you still got it. And he said, I
Yeah.
always will. You know, the fact of the matter is that there are great mentors like that. And I was so blessed to be around him and learn so much from him and the people that he mentored. And that's, you know, if we can create a ripple of that goodness and a ripple of that desire to serve people and make the greater good better, I mean, sign me up. I'm on that team. You know, anything that we
100%.
can do to support you and Stuart and what you guys are doing, we want to do, because what you're doing is a worthy pursuit to serve others who want to serve others. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, it's very fulfilling. And one of the things that we've got on our radar is we're buying a mobile video kit. At the moment, I'm sitting in a studio. We've got load shedding, so we don't have any power. So we've got some portable lights up, but I'm putting a portable rig together, and I'm going to be traveling around the world, meeting in person with folks like yourself and chatting with you and filming those interviews and kind of getting them out in person. And so I'm looking very, very forward to sitting in your space and to talk to you in person in some time in the not too distant future.
I look forward to it. That'll be a blast.
Well, Scott, thank you very much for taking the time out to talk to me. I really do appreciate it. And I'll get you the links as soon as we've gone live with this. And if you could get it out to all your circle of friends, and I'll certainly get it out to all my circle of friends. And hopefully we get loads of people taking a look at this. And I'm looking forward to seeing loads and loads of people using your new platform. Can you just end off by giving me all of your connection details again? How do people get hold of you?
Sure. In order to get a hold of me, Scott@scottschilling.com. It's my first name at both names. And then to learn more about the product, go to Meetin, MEETN.live. And there's a contact form there too. So you can go through and take a look at things. And you know, if you have any questions or want to learn more or want to set up a demonstration, please do. Would love to talk with you and talk about the possibilities.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Scott. Really, really appreciate it. And again, looking forward to meeting you someday soon in person.
We'll have some fun. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for the opportunity.